But he's going to hear from heaven. He's going to forgive you of your sin. He's going to heal your land. And he's going to provide for your kids. Now, he's a God who stands by his promises. He's a God who does not lead to lies. He's not a God that lies. But he's a God who says that if you ask, you'll receive. If you seek, you'll find. And if you knock, the door will be opened unto you. Many times we have failed to receive from the Lord simply because we've not asked. We have failed to receive from the Lord because we have not sought him. Simply because we have not knocked at his door. And that is the reason as to why I think we are going through what we are going through at Sunnyside. As we are making announcements, one bakkie was stolen out there. Yes. One bakkie was stolen out here. And somebody is asking, how can such a thing happen in the presence of the Lord? I left my place to come worship God. I did not make a deal with him to take my car away. No. I came to worship him. Worship him in truth and spirit. And then suddenly, my car, the only car I have, is taken. Which kind of God do I serve? There are times when we get to question God. There are times when we come to ask whether God is alive. There are times when we come to ask whether God is still on his throne. But he says, I am. Yes, sir. And if you leave your wicked ways, and you come and pray and cry unto me, I am faithful, and I'll answer you. Maybe we have prayed, but we have not prayed for protection for our cars. Or maybe we have come, but with a different agenda. Have we come to seek the Lord? If we have come to seek the Lord, indeed we'll find him. I want to speak to something this morning in the very few minutes that I have. And I've titled it, Will You Not Obey? Come with me to the book of 2 Kings, chapter 5. I'm going to read a few verses and I'll just give my own understanding and the Lord's interpretation of these words as we go down in relation to us praying and fasting today, and in relation to us having the 10 days of prayer that we've been having, for which many of us as youth have not attended, but we assume that you've attended in your places of abode. Chapter 5 of the book of 2 Kings says, Now Naaman, captain of the host of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master, and he was honorable. Because of him, the Lord had given deliverance into Syria. He was also a mighty man in valor, but he was a leper. Naaman was a great man. That was a time when Syria took over Israel. Israel had turned away from God, and Israel had decided to leave the God they professed. Israel had decided to do their own things, and God gave up on them. And when he gave up on them, he gets them into the hands of the Syrians. And the army commander then, during the reign of King Ben-Hadad, was Naaman. Naaman raided Israel and left no stone unturned. He took each and everything with him. And amongst the things that he took was a little maid. This maid went into his house and served the wife. Naaman was, when you read verse 1, it says that he was used by God to deliver the children of Israel into his hands, or into the Syrians. And the Bible describes Naaman as great. It describes Naaman as one who was a man of valor. It describes Naaman as a man who was fearless. A man who was ready to conquer each and everything, including the children of God. But there was one thing. He was a leper. There was one thing. Naaman was a leper. Do you understand that many times we have conquered wars? And God has used us to conquer wars in our families, at our places of work, even in church here. God has used us to win wars, but yet He has something against us. God has led us to stand on the pulpit here and speak about certain things that are happening in the church, and yet there is something wrong with us. Does that make Him a weak God? No. God allows us to conquer. God allows us to have victory, even in our sinful nature, because He has extended His grace into us. And so He uses Naaman to win Israel. But that did not take away the fact that he was a leper. And so when you continue, it says that the Syrians had gone out by companies and had brought away captives out of the land of Israel, a little maid, and she waited on Naaman his wife. And she said unto her mistress, would God my Lord were this prophet that is Samaria, for he would recover his leprosy. You know, maids in life do not have places in their master's houses. I lived one time in an environment where I was also deemed to be a maid servant. And when the bosses are eating a certain food you do not get any close to it. When they're eating chicken, you eat carpenter for lunch. When they're eating on a plate that is of gold, you're eating of bronze. You are nothing. Actually, you're eating with the dogs. You are a nobody. And so if you see a fault with your boss, you do not say a thing, because you do not have say. You do not have anything to say other than to do that your master brought you to do. And that is expected of this little maid. But this maid stands up boldly and says to the master, would God my Lord were with a prophet that is in Samaria, for he would recover him from leprosy. Many times we can be great, but we can be lepers. Oftentimes, I want to believe that Naaman knew that he was a leper, but he was complacent. Syria had gotten used to the fact that Naaman was a leper. The most important thing was not his leprosy. The most important thing was the fact that he would go to war and come back with victory. Many times we are lepers. Many times we have done things that have brought leprosy to our lives, and we have left it to be known. We do not talk about it. In our peers, it's normal. For you to go out there and fornicate, it's okay, it's part of life. This is the world we are living in. For you to go out there and gamble, it's part of life. It doesn't matter whether you're Christian or not. For you to go and harass your wife or your child, it's normal, because that's what the world does. And that is what happened to Naaman. Naaman would go out there and win wars, and yet he was a leper. Have you looked into your heart this morning? Could it be that leprosy is eating you up? Could it be that in your leprosy you have conquered wars? Could it be that in your leprosy you are great, and people around you say that indeed he's a man of valor, but with leprosy? This morning I want to bring to our notice that the young girl saw the leprosy and says, this was not right. My master is sick. Yes, he thinks he's normal. Yes, he thinks he's conquered all the wars. Yes, he thinks that he's gone through, he has conquered all the world and is the greatest of all. But to the young girl that comes from Israel, it says, man, you are a leper. Yes, you have conquered me and taken me captive. I have served you, but the fact is you're a leper. It doesn't change who you are. You have won all things. You have gotten all the greatness, you've gotten all the wealth, but the fact remains, You are a leper and you need God. And the God you need is not the God of your small shrines that you've constructed behind your house. The God you need is not the money that you have. The God you need is not the fame that you have. But you need a God who sits back in my land. And that is the God of heaven. Because in Him there is power. In Him there is victory. To Syria, leprosy was fine as long as you were not dead. And many of us today, I want to tell you that your sin, my sin, has become a part of life because I am not dead. Many of us have concealed sin simply because we want to fit in. You do not talk about my sin, I do not talk about your sin. You protect your back, you protect my back, I protect your back. And that is life, because we are a clique. You break out of these circles, you are against us. And if you are against us, then you are out of the crowd. That is who we are. To us, leprosy is normal. To us, being hateful is normal. To us, dividing this church is normal, because that is where we specialize. To us, saying that this is one church and this is one church, we are not the same, is normal. No wonder conferences tell themselves that TOC say this is who we are, the other conference says this is who we are, and yet you are going to one heaven. The leprosy that is eating you and I is real. And if you're not very careful, if I'm not very careful, it's going to tear us down, regardless of our greatness. And so the young girl says, man, you are a leper and you need to see a master. And that master lies in my land. That master lies in the man called Elisha. The power that Elisha has is not normal power, because he is a prophet, a true prophet of God, that speaks on behalf of the Most High, that when he says it becomes. That is the master that I'm directing you to. Please take your leprosy to him, for he has the power. And he can heal you. Yes, sir. He has healed. He has won battles on behalf of Israel. I have testified. I have touched him. I've not only heard about him, but I've touched him. For he is able. And because he's able, I recommend him to you, my master. Please take your leprosy to Israel. And Naaman hears the words of the maid. And he goes to the king and says, King, this is what the foolish girl in my yard says. That I need to go to Israel, where we just conquered, and take my disease. For the first time I see Naaman realizing that he's sick. And so he needs to go to see a physician. And so Naaman gets to the king, and the king writes a letter, a very long letter, and says, in the words of the king, he says, Behold, King of Israel, I sent Naaman my servant to thee, that thou mayst recover him of leprosy. But before that letter, the Bible tells us that Naaman went with goodies to Israel. He's a rich guy, so he holds gold, silver, raiment, and goes with it. His intention was not the letter that the king has written. His intention is to show that I can buy my healing. I can buy my salvation. I can buy each and everything that Israel has, because I've conquered it, first of all. Secondly, I'm great. Thirdly, I have all the money, so I can do each and everything that I can. And so he gathers his silver, he gathers his gold, he gathers each and everything that he has, because he knows as soon as I get there, with all my goodies, they will not hesitate. They'll give me healing at all cost. Sometimes we tend to think that our works will buy our salvation. Sometimes we think that when we pay our tithe, we are buying heaven. You can be great. But your tithe is not going to save you.
Amen.
Actually, hold it. God does not need it.
Yes, sir.
We can come here as elders and say, guys, pay your tithe, pay your tithe. Man, if it is not coming from deep your heart, do not bring it.
That's true.
It will destroy you, to be a curse unto you. And so Naaman gathers all the goodies and goes. But there is one thing that described Naaman. That was the letter that the king wrote. The goodies did not describe Naaman. The goodies, yes, showed that Naaman was great. They showed that he was a powerful man. He was a man who could afford gold and silver and bronze and raiments and all these things. But these goods did not describe him. In the letter that the king writes, he says, behold, my servant is a leper. That is what described Naaman. It is not the wealth that he went with. It is the letter. The only thing that is going to save you and I is for us to confess that we are sinners. If we do not confess that we are sinners, and we still brag around with our wealth, we still brag around with our offices, you call yourself an elder, and yet you fornicate behind the doors, and you think it will save you. It is not going to save you. You are a sinner. That is what describes you. It is until that time where you realize that it is not the prestige that I have that is going to serve me, but me declaring and confessing to God that I'm a sinner. That is when the fact that you realize that you're a sinner, that is the first step to getting healed.
Amen.
Keeping your sin to yourself, and you dress it up with gold and silver and bronze and raiments, is going to destroy you, because that is a cancer.
That's true.
What is it that you're holding on as a youth? Is it going to save you? It's going to destroy you. Naaman takes all these goodies, but it did not describe him. The only thing that described him was, behold, I have sent Naaman my servant to thee, that thou mayest recover him of leprosy. It is very interesting that when the king received the letter, he got so terrified. The fact that he had just lost the battle to Syria, he got so frustrated and torn his raiments, and he became so frustrated. He says that, what kind of manner is this? This man who wants to bring war unto me. And it comes to the ears of Elisha that the man of God, the king, the anointed one of God, has torn his raiments. And the king, Elisha tells the king, please, send that leper unto me. He did not tell him, send that rich man to me. He described him for who he is. Do you know, it's very interesting that as Adventists we have redefined sin. We have come up with our own definitions of sin. We have classified it. This is a big sin that needs to be seen by the world. This one we can hide under the table. For this one is bigger than this one. When you steal, they'll understand. When you commit adultery, the whole world should know. We have classified sin. But when Elisha looks at Naaman, or hears about him, he calls him a leper, not a rich man. Yeah. What is that you're hiding? What is that you're classifying? Do you think that when I stand here and lie, and you sit there and steal, we are different scales? In the face of God, it is sin. Yes. Whether you break the Sabbath or you commit adultery, whether you steal or lie, it is sin. And so Elisha calls for the man, and Naaman goes still with his goodies. And Elisha, the man of God, says to the servant, go and tell that leper to go into Jordan. Not the rivers, the good rivers that he left in his home. Not those best rivers, not the best doctors that he left in Syria. No. Let him go into Jordan and wash 1, 2, 3, 7 times. Period. No one becomes furious. Do you know one of the best medicine is for you to go to a doctor and he touches you? By him touching you, you feel like you're healed. And that is where healing starts. Healing is a mindset. If you tell yourself, I'm going to die, then you will not live. Elisha tells Naaman, get out, go into Jordan. Naaman is mad. He says, at least let him come and touch, feel my leprosy. People they want us to feel their sins. People want us to massage their sins. But Elisha is saying, do not even come near me. Please pack your bags and go into Jordan. For out of Jordan is healing. Your healing is not with the elder, no. Your healing is not with Elisha, no. Because the power that is in Elisha is the power that is in Jordan. All that God is testing is your obedience. And so please stop massaging your sins and take them to Jordan. Let us not call sin another name, because it has no other name. It is sin, and it needs Jordan. Because in Jordan there is something. In Jordan there is something. There is power. There is power. And that power is power of healing. And so Naaman says, no, let's pack our bags. This river, even the rivers back home are far better than it. I will not. Do you know sometimes we reason when it comes to sin? Somebody tells you, man, whatever you're doing is wrong. He says, first of all, who are you talking to? If you're not from the east, if you're not from Mugabe's land, you know, who are you to talk to me? And so we start thinking, we start coming up with theories and hypotheses of sin and describing it, making it small and big, and then you come to conclusion and say, nah, this one is just a sin, very small. And this is the thought that came in Naaman's head. He says, at least let him touch me. Secondly, he says, this river that he's telling me to go into is worse off than the river that I left home. You know, oftentimes you come to church and sit on these chairs, and you go back into your sitting room and you realize, man, either the elders are eating the tithe, or the pastors are not doing their good work. How can we sit on these plastic things when we back home we sit in sofas? There is healing in Jordan. Irrespective of how clean or dirty it is, there is healing in Jordan. And so when you sit in your sofas and watching those TVs, just understand that the TV does not have healing. Healing is in the house of the Lord. And so leave your wealth, leave your gold, leave your silver, leave your bronze, leave your raiment, and come to Jordan, because there is healing in it. You have leprosy. And if you do not take care of it, you're going to die. However great you are. In Israel, when you had leprosy, they would exclude you from the congregation. You are sinful. In Syria, sin or leprosy is part of life. Do you know that we have brought the Syrian mentality into God's church? And now we can afford to say, leprosy, that is a joke. We can live by it. I'm not dead. I'm still living. I'm still conquering. It is sin in Israel. And God is telling you, please go into Jordan and wash. And so the servants tell this big man, I just wonder the courage they got. He said, my master, if the prophet told you to do something bigger, would you not do it? Do you know sometimes we are going to have to ask the tough questions to people for us to gain sense? The servant is asking him, if the prophet had told you to do something bigger, would you not do it? Now, that is not a small question. Basically, the servant is telling you, man, you had better get serious. Here you're joking with life. If they told you that take off your head for you to get healed, would you? Because that is greater, man, than going into Jordan. And so, there are certain times we're going to have to ask tough questions to people so that they realize the magnitude of the sins. And so Naaman gets to his senses, he goes into the river. Goes in the first time, comes out the same. Angrier. I see Naaman preparing something worse for his servants, first of all, and for Israel as a nation. How dare you tell the master of Syria to go into these dirty waters and come back the same way he went? You're joking with a soldier. He can kill, he can destroy. So he goes in the first time. The servant said, man, 6 to go. Goes in the second time, third time, fifth time, he's still the same. There are times where you're going to have to pray and nothing changes about your situation. That situation will remain the same after 5 times of prayer. For Naaman, nothing changed. He was as he is, as he went in, as he came from Syria, he was still a leper. He goes in the 6th time, he comes up. He's the same. You're going to pray the 6th time, and I'm telling you, you remain the same. But the servants are saying, do not give up. The prophet says 7 times. You know, I'm reminded of this cartoon of this man who goes drilling for gold, and then after he's left with just an inch to get to the gold, he gives up, and he goes back to his home. How many times have you given up on prayer? How many times have you prayed and you thought things are not working out and the only alternative is going to a sangoma? How many times do you visit those prophets, Oshiris and all these guys, to claim miracles for you? The 6th time, he still had leprosy. And now he's furious. He's in the middle of the river. He cannot turn back because he already started. And he says, if this one time things do not work out, I'm destroying the whole nation, including my servants. I'm seeing him saying to the king of Israel, I'm going back with your head on a silver platter. Naaman goes back the 7th time. That 7th time. How I wish we can have a 7th time in our lives. Because that is the game changer. That is where each and everything changes around us. We've been having the 10 days of prayer. And these are the 7 times that Elisha was talking about. There are certain situations in life that will not go away until you have prayed long enough. The Bible says pray and cease not. And so he goes in the 7th time with leprosy. Naaman comes up out of the water with a skin like that of a baby. Amen.
Amen.
Naaman comes up with flesh, not just skin. Flesh without leprosy. The flesh is as that of a child. Meaning, his inner being, if he was 50, he was counted for 5 years. His inner being, if he was 100, he was counted for 60 years. He was younger than what he looked like. Simply because he had adhered until the 7th time. How many times have you prayed? If things have not changed, do not give up. Do not give up. For that